Hey guys, thanks for stopping by my channel today. My name is Gina, and the premise of my channel is that there's more to life than looking good, but you've got to look good too. And so today isn't going to necessarily be a look good video, it's going to actually be a feel good video. I am bringing you one of my car chats, not in my car because it's like 100 degrees outside, and I couldn't run the AC because it would be too noisy. And so instead, I am sitting outside on my deck. I've got some new patio furniture, some new privacy curtains. Aren't those so pretty back there? I almost feel like I'm in a spa, except I'm not receiving a massage and I don't have anybody bringing me any drinks. So anyway, I want to chat with you about kind of really drama, but kind of a situation that came up actually in the beauty community, although it kind of translates over into kind of world and global sort of events, I guess you could say. I call this a feel-good video because even though I am talking about the way my car chats are, my car vlogs, my chit chats, I've called them like 10,000 different things because I do them in 10,000 different places. But the reason I call it a feel-good video, because that really is what I like to focus on. I like to focus on being comfortable and confident in who you are and looking good, but also making sure that you feel good, like inside and how you relate to the world. So even though this is kind of like, I'm giving you like, as they say, like food for thought, but I'd like to think that it's a feel-good video because I feel like anytime you examine your own personal values and where you stand on an issue, that only like builds your character, and that only again kind of instills confidence in who you are, because the more that we know ourselves, the better we can relate to ourselves and the better we can relate to others. So I feel like that's a really important aspect or dimension of our personality. So let me get into, it really is kind of drama. Let me get into the drama that I heard about. And it was funny because I didn't really pay attention at first, and then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, you know, and it's one of those points that can kind of be debated from both sides. And so going along with that, I definitely want to know kind of what you guys think, and I'll give you some direction after I kind of present the conversation. But before I get into that, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy to have you with me. I would love it if you click the subscribe button. That's such a hard word to say, subscribe. If you became a sub of mine and joined the G crew, that would be fabulous. And if you're one of my guys, welcome back. If you're already in the G crew, welcome back. So also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy kind of this talking. I've gotten really good feedback about it, and so it really makes me enjoy doing it. So I'm happy to do that today. Okay, drama. And I may not know all of the details of the specifics of the story that's sparking this debate. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because I'm just gonna be kind to everybody involved. But Kat Von D, she is a personality, she's a human being, she's a personality, she's a brand. She recently stated on her personal, it was one of her personal social media accounts, which I think is definitely a factor in this whole conversation. She posted on one of her personal accounts that I guess she's pregnant. Congratulations to her. And all the best. I wish her all the best. She stated that she was not going to vaccinate her child, and I guess going along with that, her children. And it immediately sparked this, like, is that what they mean when they say it sparked a firestorm? It totally sparked a firestorm, because people were, and I'm not even saying either way, I'm giving you the facts. People were very upset because many people feel that the I think it's called anti-vaxxers. That's actually a thing. People who do not vaccinate their children, they feel as if that's not the right choice to make. And let it be said that apparently there were studies, or there was a very flawed study in the past that said that vaccinations caused harm. I believe they said it was linked to autism, but it wasn't a good thing. It turns out that that study was largely debunked, and the creator of the study, I think, lost his license. We've come around to accept that vaccines, for the most part, and I don't mean that for every single person out there, especially every single person listening, but we've come to accept that vaccines are pretty important. I'm just gonna leave it at that. They're pretty important. And so many people, when they heard that she wasn't vaccinating her child, not only were very upset in protection of their own self, like if they had a compromised immune system, but they were upset for their own children, let's say, in that their own children could potentially be put at risk by other children who were not vaccinated. They were very angry at Kat. Is that how you call her? Kat? I guess, yeah, her last name is Von D. To me, she's just Kat Von D. But they were very mad at her for making what they felt was an uninformed and somewhat selfish decision. And so it just became this tremendous debate. And I started thinking, oh, and so ultimately, within the debate, many people were declaring on her social media that they were no longer going to purchase her products. And I just thought, I was like, okay, I get that. You know, you're identifying with the person, or you're not identifying with the person who's selling you the product, and so you therefore do not want to support them and their product. And then it started to bother me, because it doesn't matter, but I do believe in vaccines. But it started to bother me because that was a personal position that she had, and people were equating it to a product that she was selling. And my question was going along the lines of, should those two things be related? Or should your ability to run a business and produce a product be independent of your own personal child-rearing values, is really what it came down to. What also complicates the issue is that the Kat Von D brand is actually one of the better ones out there. I mean, never mind the fact that it's got, it makes beautiful products. Her liners and her shadows and her contour palettes and kind of all of that, her liquid lipsticks. I mean, it goes on, foundation. But she makes, they're cruelty-free, they're vegan, they check off a lot of boxes. And so, and yet at the same time, we wind up supporting other makeup brands who don't do that sort of thing. I mean, and that's not everybody, because many people are or do support cruelty-free products, but not everybody does. And I wonder if those people who are now deciding to boycott Kat Von D and her products buy other products that happen to be non-vegan and non-cruelty-free and test on animals. Because there are definitely some really good companies out there that still test on animals. And so, that being said, it just started to bother me, because I was just wondering, to what extent do we relate a business or a product, and a seemingly very good product, to what a person believes individually. Not just to put the spotlight on Kat Von D, there was also, somewhat recently, the episode with Roseanne Barr. They recently revived her show, and it was doing very well. It did well back when it was first up. Was that the 80s? Or was that the 90s? That might have been the 90s. I don't even remember. Seems like a long time ago. I didn't necessarily watch it a ton. I'd watch it if it was on. You know, it wasn't like I'd like set my DVR, which we did not have at the time. We had VCRs. But anyway, they revived her show, I think on ABC. And I think even ABC strategically put her show on the air because they wanted to kind of broaden their audience. So the introduction of her show into their lineup was trying to be all inclusive and kind of, you know, so the intent behind it was really good. And it was doing very well, very well. I didn't catch any of the new ones, but from what I understand, it was actually doing very well. And then, now Roseanne Barr, she does not hide who she is. And whether you support her or not, she has always been very upfront about what she believes. And so I guess she put out a pretty awful racist tweet, which she then went and apologized for. I'm not sure that makes it any better, because you kind of put it out there. Once you put it out there, you can't take things back. But I guess you can apologize. That's a whole other chit chat, or whatever. But it was a pretty bad tweet. I'm not even going to repeat it. It doesn't need to be said again. I actually don't even remember it 100% because it was kind of that mean. And just awful. It was racist. But anyway, ultimately ABC canceled her show. And then that, to me, also made me start to wonder and start to think. Just think. Not agree or disagree, but just kind of think. I hadn't anticipated the wind being a factor doing this outside. But I just started to think. I was like, well, the show itself was entertaining, and the show itself, I don't believe anyway, otherwise it probably would have been pulled. The show itself was not racist, but she went and chose to go on one of her personal accounts, and she demonstrated a side of her personality that many of us don't agree with. But did that warrant canceling her show? Because at the same time, both for Kat Von D and Roseanne, there are how many hundreds of other people whose jobs were impacted by that correlation between someone's personal views and personal values and their public brand. I think they've since brought the Roseanne show back actually without her, so I'm not even sure what they're going to call it. But let's just say they didn't do that. Because of her personal value, not even that's something that the show did, but because of her personal value, hundreds of people could have lost their job. Now, you don't make a ton of money working. You're the camera guy and the lighting guy, the water boy, you know, or the water girl. You don't make a ton of money on those shows, so it's not like you could necessarily just like randomly afford to lose your job. Like, I guess Roseanne, I don't know, I'm making assumptions under stereotypes of what movie stars and TV stars make and do, but you know, I guess maybe she could afford to lose her job. But we need to go on the premise that many other people were impacted by this indirect, and that's what it is. It's so indirect, because did she actually hurt somebody? Was she, you know, racist to a particular person, to someone on her show, like one of her co-workers? And again, I already stipulated that the show itself did not, I don't think so anyway, but it, you know, the show wasn't canceled because of a specific racist scene, let's say. But what I was saying was that it's kind of indirect. You know, did she hurt anybody directly? No. Now, did she hurt others? Yeah, because for one, it was like insulting, and two, it was, it just wasn't nice, and it was kind of dumb. And it opens the door now to where I'm gonna go with the rest of this conversation. But my point with Roseanne is that it was indirect. And again, it was related to her personal account, in a very similar manner to the way Kat Von D's situation was. And we had two people's personal values correlating with their business. Ironically, the things that they did were not crimes. We were punishing them for, potentially punishing them for things that society didn't deem a crime. It's not a crime. Well, I was gonna say, it's not a crime to be a racist. It's not a crime to put out a racist tweet. Let me say that. Because if you perform a racist act, I mean, you can get in trouble. You would get, and you should get in trouble. But the racist tweet itself was not a crime, and not vaccinating your children is not a crime. And so who are we to judge on a business perspective what they should be believing personally, if society hasn't even deemed that a crime? Again, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying it's something to think about. Because it wasn't, I mean, if you commit a crime, I mean, that's a whole different story. But a tweet, well, if tweets were crimes, we would be getting ourselves in some hot water. So, you know, but a tweet isn't a crime, and an anti-vax is not a crime. And so, I don't know. What's interesting also about this whole situation is that we're potentially punishing people for being honest. Because the reality is, I really don't know a lot about the CEO or an important person at Nike, for example. But I have a pair of Nike sneakers right now. I'm making generalizations, but it's my understanding that the consensus was that Steve Jobs over at Apple was kind of a jerk. But I have an iPhone, and have for many years. And I've also heard, you know, it's kind of a little bit, let's say, common knowledge that Elon Musk isn't like the friendliest person, but he's like going to the moon, and you know, and he's got the Teslas out there. People are driving Teslas and kind of all that stuff. But yet, I don't really know much about any of the other important people that run companies of the products that I own. Should I take the time to go and investigate, you know, I'm trying to come up with a catchy phrase, there is none. Investigate before I buy. You know, we don't do that on a regular basis, and yet here are two people who kind of decided that they were going to be authentic to who they are and not keep it covered, let's say, in shadow, or keep it hidden, and then we're kind of holding it against them. I think I would rather, I think I have more, I'm not sure, but I think I have more respect, because I am totally thinking on the spot, but I think I have more respect for someone who shows you who they are. and doesn't try to put on a facade, but what they think their customers or society would want to hear. So that's kind of a contradiction right there, because I don't know about the other heads of the other leaders or owners of the other brands of products that I use or that I buy, or entertainment that I appreciate. And then here are two people who kind of went out on a limb, and now they're being either punished or they're receiving backlash from it. And so that's also kind of contradictory a little bit. On the flip, what I had heard about people who were kind of debating it just a little bit, because I wanted to see what like the temperature of the culture was. On the flip, people were saying, well, you know what though? People who have a platform and who are in the public eye should be more responsible in what they say. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's valid too. Because, for example, Kat Von D saying, you know, I'm not going to vaccinate my children. She's I mean, you know, she's not like Michael Jordan, but I don't know why that was the first person that popped into my head. I am totally not even a basketball fan, but football is my thing. Go Hawks. You know, but Kat Von D has a presence, and she has, I honestly don't even know. Does she have 1 million followers? I wouldn't be surprised if she did. And so people were arguing and saying, well, she has a platform and people are listening to her. And so what if her views, which we all know are controversial, which kind of makes me feel like that might have even been why she stated it, is it to be like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm not doing like everybody else, I'm not vaccinating my child. Actually, that's kind of another point. Why did you bother to put that out there? I don't know. That's, I guess, another dimension to the conversation. But she does. She has a platform and she has a following. So was it irresponsible of her to share that information? Because she might actually compel people to follow her, let's say. And then I was thinking on the flip, well, that's what she believes. So she wouldn't feel bad if other people agreed with what her premise was. But at the same time, how much of a responsibility do we have when we are in a position of power, or when we have a presence? Roseanne Barr knows that people read her tweets. I only have a couple hundred people who read my tweets, you know, so I'm really not going to have a major impact. But there's many people who read her tweets. And is that the message that when you have such a position, is that the message you should carelessly put out there? But then again, I was just saying that they felt that that's who they are. So why should they have to hide who they are? Well, maybe you should have to hide who you are if you have a platform and you can influence. Wow, that was a lot. I love that this debate was sparked by someone in the beauty community, since that is what I like to focus on my channel. That being said, I don't have children, so I couldn't tell you either way. I haven't really done a ton of research. I couldn't, without a doubt, definitively tell you either way whether or not I would vaccinate my children. I'm kind of thinking I would. No, I'm pretty sure I would. Forget it. See, when she puts it out there, she made me doubt. Did you see that? It actually happened right here. I started to doubt what I already knew to be true. I believe in vaccines. And, oh my God, that was so wild. Talk about, whoa. Okay, so that being said, that was like totally raw and live. There were a ton of comments, like I said, on social media, and the one that I want to leave you with, that one, So, okay, the idea behind many of the vaccines is that they prevent you from dying or from being crippled, and they eradicate diseases that, or hopefully eradicate diseases that we don't need to deal with. Lord knows we have enough to deal with as it is. One of the commenters, and it kind of, not that it went viral, but it kind of took off a little bit. And what she said was so, and once I heard the comment, that was what made me stop and go, okay. First of all, what you just said was so beautiful, and we need to talk about this. What she said was, because again, let me say that there was a fear, an ungrounded fear, that certain vaccines or taking vaccines in general could lead to autism. This girl said, well, you know, she experiences Asperger's. I never know how to say that. Asperger's syndrome, which is a variation of autism. And what she said was, I have Asperger's syndrome, and I'm confused why you would think that either being killed by a disease or crippled by another one would be better than me. As if to say, oh, doesn't that get you? My gosh. As if to say, why would who I am be worse than those very awful things? Even if giving your child meant that they would develop potentially, which you won't, but you could potentially, even if you argued the point and said that you could develop a condition or any other condition such as that. She was asking, well, what's so wrong with me? What's so wrong with me that being crippled or dying would be the better solution and you would choose not to vaccinate your children? And I was just like, my God, what a reality check, right? I feel like that puts things in perspective. So, when I started the video, I was kind of saying, I don't really know. I don't know what's the right answer. And so I'm gonna ask you guys to vote and leave a comment, because sometimes when it comes to hot topics, it's difficult to, even though we don't know each other personally, it's difficult to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and take a side. Because you often feel like you need to defend your point. So what about this? What about if in the comment section you instead write boycott or buy, as if B-Y, as if whether or not, based on the personal values of a brand owner, if you disagreed with them strongly, would you boycott their product or would you continue to buy their product? And that's all you have to put, boycott or buy. And I'm just curious to see, I want to know what the temperature of my viewers is. Of course, if you have a comment, please leave it. When I do these chit chats or these car chats, the comments that you guys give me are just amazing. And so I always, of course, welcome and invite those. But if you don't feel comfortable defending a side, or you might even feel like it's gonna get you too riled up if you even start talking about it, just leave me a word. Boycott or buy. I don't know. What do you think? So as always, thank you so much for spending your time with me and for listening and for thinking. Because like I said, this really is important to who we are as a person, our personality, our character, and understanding what our own values is can only be a good thing. And so like I said, today was a feel-good video. Maybe next time will be a look-good video. So of course, if you choose not to vote or comment either way, always leave me video suggestions of things that you'd like to see. I just did that Hourglass Veil review and comparison, and I got a lot of strong positive feedback from that, and that was all your suggestions. So thank you for that. Like I said, if you are not a member of the G Crew, please do subscribe. And if you've already been a member, as always, welcome back. Thank you again for spending your time with me. Catch me on Instagram, that's where I'm most prominent. I am also on Twitter. Then it's only my name, Gina Creone. So again, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you so much. I also look forward to seeing you again in my next video. In the meantime,